coming back to another Hamza Khan show video. I really appreciate you guys coming in to watch this again every single week. Um, I'm gonna get right into it because we've just had Backlash, and I thought compared to Wrestlemania, it was a way better show. Obviously, there were still bits that I did not were missing from it that I wish that they were there. But overall, as a show, the matches, everything that happened, I really, really enjoyed it, and they really got me engaged throughout the show. Um, I'm gonna start off with what from the beginning, with Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins, which I thought was probably one of the best matches I've seen from Braun Breaker. Seth Rollins always hits it out of the park whenever he is wrestling, and it was such an enjoyable. It really got you involved. It made you support Seth because I was really wanting throughout that match. I was the whole build up towards this match. I don't feel like it has been as great. I think it's been a bit messy, and they've kind of built off the fact from last year with Braun spearing Seth and him going away. Um, I thought it really got you back engaged throughout the match. Seth was the clear babyface. Braun Breaker was the heel, but you enjoyed everything that Braun Breaker was doing. You enjoyed everything that Seth was doing. It was a clear. The ending of the match was clear with Braun Breaker winning, and it didn't make Seth look weak or any less than, but it also that match did make Braun Breaker look very, very strong going forwards, and especially with the fact that the Vision did get kind of involved, but Seth saw that he'd already dealt with them. It was a small distraction, but it was kind of you're expecting that when you're going into a match with Braun Breaker and the Vision, other members, Austin Theory and Logan Paul, they're gonna get involved. They're gonna try and um, influence the match. But I thought throughout the match, Seth looked great. Braun Breaker looked great. I was sad that the babyface lost in Seth Rollins, and I'm interested to see what happens with Braun Breaker going forward. It makes sense with Braun Breaker. Obviously, if he loses, it takes the momentum out of him, and I don't think that's what you want to do with Braun Breaker currently. But I also wanted Seth to win because if you feel bad for Seth, because without that injury, more than likely he would be still our world heavyweight champion, and he would have main evented WrestleMania had it not been for that injury. And that injury was caused obviously throughout the the technical kind of the storyline basis. He got injured because of Braun Breaker and Bronze Reed, but technically he got injured when he went for broke in the Cody Rhodes match. And I wish they kind of brought that up rather than going with the storyline kind of build towards it. But that match definitely got me back engaged into the storyline. I'm very interested to see what happens on Monday. I expect very easily that we're gonna see some sort of showing of Braun Breaker where he's laughing at Seth, and maybe that leads towards eventually maybe a I'm expecting a triple tag team match with Braun, Austin, Logan versus Seth and the Street Profits. But where they go from there, it may be a case where it's kind of a back and forth. Maybe at the next PLE clash in Paris, we have another match between them because it can't be a case of this can't be the end for Seth Rollins and his quest against the Vision. You kind of have to, well, I see it that you have to kind of, there has to be a way out where the Vision goes on their own path and Seth goes on his own path, but you don't want to make anybody less than throughout. So I'm very interested in what happens going forwards, where they kind of build towards and what they kind of do for the Vision. Obviously, Bronson Reed still hasn't came back, so whenever he's expected, will Seth go after him as well, or is it a case where Seth's gone after Braun, and that's the kind of end towards it? Other than what else happened on the show, you had the next match, which was Trick Williams versus Sami Zayn. I feel like a lot of people they didn't really like the whole gingerbread thing, but I agree with other people who have kind of said if they kind of did it in a, they weren't going all the way with it, it would have been out. I think it would be fair to complain about it, but because they weren't really over the top with it, it was throughout the show they kind of bringing it up. Um, how they ended the show on SmackDown with the Gingerbread Man being Lil Yachty and everything to do with that, I thought was really well done. It was entertaining, and I guess that's the kind of most important part you've got with wrestling. It needs to be entertaining. So it was very entertaining. You enjoyed it. It was something new. It's not something that they've done previously or often. So that was a very well done counterpoint, I would say. And that match as well was really, really well done. Sami Zayn's emotions, his mannerisms, his kind of the way he kind of changed his approach throughout that match. Whenever the crowd was cheering for Trick and booing Sammy, it was always Sammy reacted, and you can kind of lose the momentum if someone doesn't react. But because he reacted, it implemented and it kind of increased the boos throughout the arena, and the support for Trick and the dislike towards Sami Zayn. Lil Yachty constantly he's really constantly he kind of is always really, really good. He supports Trick, he like increases Trick even further, but he doesn't take away from it, and I think that's his involvement in a match as a celebrity is really well done, and you can very easily see a kind of storyline where eventually he's kind of just involved. It's not a case where he's a celebrity getting involved. He's a kind of old school manager for Trick, um, in a kind of way. But I enjoyed that match as well. Another banger match throughout the show. It was just good match. Really, really not even good. Really great matches. And I think sometimes you get confused with all the like the stories and the kind of the shenanigans and everything, but at the end of the day, the wrestling needs to be good, and those two matches smashed it out of the park. The following one match, you had another crazy banger of a match with, was it the next match? No, it wasn't. After that, you had Danhausen and his mystery partner versus Miz and K Wilson. K Wilson looked really good. Miz looked really good in that match. Entertaining, I guess. Um, One thing I've kind of understand now and think we need to kind of remember going forwards, not to get our hopes up, especially with Danhausen. At the end of the day, I think a lot of people were expecting maybe this mystery partner is gonna be, who were they saying? CM Punk, John Cena, Brock Lesnar, just some outrageous names. And at the end of the day, we got Minnie, which actually he did actually really well in the match, and it was entertaining and people enjoyed it. Um, just good. You had, I guess, for that kind of audience, you had to have that kind of match sometimes involved, and I'm sure they loved it. I thought it was good. I did. I wasn't. It wasn't something. I was interested to see who was going to be his mystery partner. But other than that, I was kind of like, it is what it is. Whatever happens, happens. It wasn't one of the kind of standouts going into the show. Standout match and something that I was really looking forward towards was Io Sky versus Oscar. Banger of a match. Io Sky smashed it out of the park. Oscar smashed it out of the park. Throughout the match, it built a really awesome story. You had the carry chants in the crowd. Um, it was just so well done. Io Sky looked great. Oscar looked great. The kind of counter for counter, the kind of understanding between the two characters, it built up. Sometimes you have it where the commentary team or the build up towards it is these guys know each other and they always they've uh, they've had a relationship before, they've been involved with each other, and but then you don't see that throughout the match. It's kind of one has upper hand on the other, but in this match it was so level field, and Io Sky kind of building herself up to the occasion, where at the beginning she was hesitant, but at the end of the match she'd taken a shot and shot with the sniper, and she got the bullseye. It was so well done, and one of the favorite ones, Oscar with the mist. Io Sky got the kind of, what was it, the notepad out, no notes from Wade Barrett. Crazy. That was funny moment. But her stopping the mist, really enjoyed that. You saw the look at Oscar's face, you looked the look at Io Sky's face, and then yes, we got it back in the ring, counter for counter. You had that moment where Io Sky was in I think it was the Oscar lock. She was fading, she was really out there, and somehow she overcomes it just at the last minute. I think it was like .00. Ref's gonna call it out. The match is out, but she makes it just in time, and then eventually wins the match with that amazing over the moonsault. Um, really good match, and I like the ending as well, where there was that sign of respect. They hugged. It looked like Oscar was crying. I was kind of semi expecting maybe a retirement for Oscar, but it wasn't. But I guess I'm sure there would have been lots of emotion going towards that match, especially with the crowd chanting for "We want Kyrie," her being let go from the WWE, fired. There must have been emotion throughout it for both of those wrestlers, those superstars, and them coming at the end, hugging, showing their embrace, allowing the fans to appreciate the story and leaving it as that going forwards was, I think, really well done, really good closure, and I enjoyed it throughout. It was one of my most kind of, I was looking forward to that match, and it delivered as well. So uh, I can't blame it. I can't like. There's nothing to hate from it, in my opinion, and I really enjoyed that. The next thing we had the John Cena classic. John Cena came out. He's kind of told the crowd. He's getting involved, and then he's announced the John Cena classic. From what I understand, it's some sort of. It's not necessarily a tournament. It's gonna be maybe another pay per view in the future where loads of different superstars are wrestling on the card, and the winner is the not necessarily the person who um not necessarily the person who wins. It's the person, the people, the crowd have the most support with, and they vote to say who's the John Cena champion. I feel like it's gonna be a little bit like the Crown Jewel Championship, where you have the moment, and then and then um you have the moment where the winner is talked about for a little while, is brought up when you get around that season of Crown Jewel, but other than that, it's kind of one um individual thing, similar to how like the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal is brought up when it's new to when you're talking about accomplishments, but it's not necessarily something that week to week, bell to bell, you're gonna see people competing towards it. You'll probably see this person was the 2026 John Cena Classic winner, so on and so forth. A little bit like the tag team classic in NXT. Um, but I enjoyed it. I liked the announcement. I'm interested to see what goes on further with it. Probably kind of you. I guess voting is going to be probably that club WWE, and that's how they kind of get the subscriptions in and get the people buying that. Next thing, last thing on the card for Backlash was the main event of Jacob Fatu versus Roman Reigns. Banger of a match, really well done. You saw the extreme of Jacob Fatu throughout it. You saw the heavy hitters putting in place, the spears, the Samoan drops, the the moonsault from Jacob Fatu. The fact that at the beginning of the match, a lot of the time with like those like crazy effective moves, you expect them to kind of save it for that the last minute, but straight away tongue and death grip on Roman Reigns. You show the fact that Jacob Fatu is super desperate. He isn't. He's not out there for the fans. He's not out there for anybody other than himself and his family. And that desperation, that desire to actually win the match and beat Roman Reigns, overcome everything else, and that pushed Jacob Fatu to just take that move that the Usos and the Roman have kind of alluded to the fact that this is a technically like a banned move. It's like a pile driver in a sense, and the fact that Jacob Fatu using it is insane. But that match was really well done. The amount of near finishes that really got you throughout it. I feel like there was a moment where Jacob Fatu was gonna win. I think it was after this Samoan drop and then the moonsault. And don't not many people have ever kicked out of that moonsault. And I think that was the moment where you expected one, two, three. Same thing with Roman. I think there was a double um, Superman punch into a spear, and that didn't get the job done. Eventually, it kind of ended the match with it was kind of kerfuffle. The ref was kind of involved, and I think Jacob had the death grip in. So Roman was trying to grab anything that he could, grabbed the ring thingy, ripped it off. Jacob Fatu head first, spear 1, 2, 3. Roman's out in the ring. He's just dead on the mat, even though he won. You can already see Jacob Fatu getting up. He looks pissed. Attacks Roman, even though he lost, and clearly going forwards, this isn't over. Jacob Fatu hasn't lost his desire for that World Heavyweight Championship. He's not going away. It's not a case of now Jacob's gonna be acknowledging Roman. He's desperate. He needs that championship. This ain't over until Jacob Fatu gets what he wants, and I think that's the right decision going forwards. You don't want to lose the momentum. What I hope happens is maybe more concrete kind of story in terms of the other people involved. Either the Usos are involved or the Usos are not involved. Either Solo and MFT are involved or they're not involved. Because having them is be like bad comparison, but like how they went all in on the gingerbread man kind of story. They need to go all in. Either the Usos are all in or you get them back trying to go for those tag team championships. Either Solo's all in or he's trying to rebuild his family and kind of retake control of what they're doing on SmackDown. I feel like that's what I want to see for them. But what's happening with Roman and Jacob, you kind of want them to kind of all out, and Roman seems to be pissed, and I expect and hope to see that Jacob, either Jacob or Roman starts Raw, um, and we get Jacob just coming straight out there, and they just brawl it out on Raw, straight away. Other things happening on wrestling, Triple A, amazing show again, no complaints there. You can't complain. That Psycho Clown and Pagano kind of confrontation, the I'll get into that in a second. Let me just go back to Backlash. Overall, Backlash, really good show. Enjoyed it throughout. Better than, in my opinion, Wrestlemania. One thing I did think they lacked was that I missed, and I wish they had that, was those 1 minute openings, the 1 minute kind of um, storyline build up. If you've got people, think of it logically. You got people, you're ESPN, you put it on ESPN 2. There's going to be a large number of audience that's not seen that match before. They don't know what the storyline is, and having like I forgot what the name is, but like a little bit at the beginning where they show the highlights of what's happened throughout that story was really missed. Missed it on WrestleMania, they missed it on Backlash, and I hope that the next PLE, I think, is Clash in Paris. They bring that back. But overall, I enjoyed that Backlash as a show. Um, as I was saying before, previously, Triple A, amazing show again. Matches, bangers. That Catalina match was insane. The uh, triple threat match was really well done. The ending of the show with Pagano and Psycho Clown, I feel like there was like a lot of story missed, but because they showed that kind of um, backstory of what happened and leading up to Psycho Clown, um, kind of blaming Pagano, it was just so well done. It got you. It was super like it was super intense soap opera vibes, and there was no complaints from it. I really enjoy that, and very interesting to see what goes on further. And I think that's the main point. You gotta lead to the next show. We know we've got the Mask versus Mask El Grande Americano story, but eventually that story can end. What is your next story? And that is the Psycho Clan versus Pagano. That storyline, if that is what they go with, looks very, very interesting. Apart from Backlash on Raw and on SmackDown, I think the biggest main story that we can kind of talk about is going to be, of course, Cody Rhodes versus Gunther. What's happening there? Um, Expectation is that we're going to have that match at Clash in Paris with Gunther and Cody. I like the fact that we've got Paul Heyman involved already. He's already classed in that favor. The favor was the fact that um, Paul Heyman's gonna get Gunther the World Heavyweight Championship match at Clash in Paris, and I feel like it is the right decision to do that because you could still get Paul Heyman involved with Gunther, and he can have a kind of valid interest in Gunther because he's already got involved with Gunther's business due to um, Gunther saving him, fighting Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, and owing Paul Heyman a favor. Pushing the fact that I feel like if you pushed it any further and people kind of speculated wildly, continuing and it kind of as like a rolling and kind of built up, it could be seen as a bigger thing than expected. But because we've seen that going forwards, that is the right decision. And let's pay the favor now, and any involvement later on, you can always build it afterwards. Um, what I think about the storyline with Cody Rhodes and Gunther, what I want and what I expect to see going forward, I want to see Gunther get one over on Cody Rhodes every single time up until Clash in Paris. If we're building the biggest monster that we've seen, the person that retired John Cena, retired Goldberg, retired AJ Styles, you have to feed him, and feeding Cody Rhodes getting one up on Gunther this week kind of lessened that monster, and kind of took away from if we are going to be building towards this crazy monster that Gunther can be. But I guess he is your world heavyweight champion. So let's, if you want to go into a match where it's going to be a shock and awe factor where Gunther may win, you can't necessarily have Cody just look terrible throughout. It's happened before with John Cena and Brock Lesnar where you go back and forth, but eventually Brock Lesnar wins, and maybe they're going for a fact where when we get to Clash in Paris, it is a case where Cody just gets choked out by Gunther, and that's that. One thing we do need to remember is Cody does have one over on Gunther. Gunther did lose that crown jewel match a couple of years ago, so Cody is one over him. So maybe they can get that involved throughout the match. But in my opinion, Cody loses at Clash in Paris currently. I would love for him to win, but if you're looking towards the future in that standpoint, expecting and the storylines you want to build going forward, I expect Gunther to beat Cody Rhodes at Clash in Paris. All that momentum going towards it doesn't make sense for Gunther to lose, if you get what I'm saying. But I'm very interested to see what happens on SmackDown now that Gunther is a technically, obviously, never signed, but technically Gunther is a SmackDown um, character now, superstar. So we're gonna see a lot more of Gunther on SmackDown, and hopefully we elongate this, and this is a, a storyline between Cody and Gunther for the next 3 4 months, and that keeps the interest on SmackDown because SmackDown has been a little bit lacking in my opinion, and it needs that energy to kind of compete with Raw, if you get what I'm saying, and keep people's interest. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Leave a like if it was good, leave a dislike if it was bad, and peace.